Hello, everyone. It's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to the Development Hell podcast. And this is the movie club, and we're going to be talking about, you guessed it, Fantastic Mr. Fox for our animation episode here for this year. And joining me is Vinnie, Kevin, and Jim. And we're ready to talk about this Roald Dahl adaptation for director Wes Anderson. An urbane fox cannot resist returning to his farm, raiding ways, and then must help his community survive the farmer's retaliation. And yes, this is indeed based off of a Roald Dahl children's novel, which I think makes up about a third of the story. And then Wes Anderson went from there. But let's go around as usual with our general thoughts and our experience with the film. How many times have you watched it? Maybe when you first watched it. But Vinny, you go first.
So I've seen Fantastic Mr. Fox several times. I remember being disappointed when it wasn't in theaters for that long because I did want to catch it in theaters, but it came out around the same time as Alvin and the Chipmunks The Squeakquel, so they had to make room for that. So so I caught
Travesty.
so so I ended up renting it from Blockbuster. Remember those stores, kids? Huh? But
Pepperidge
I
Farm remembers.
but yeah, so I watched it, I fell in love with it. And you know what? In a world that has like some top tier Pixar movies and Hayao Miyazaki movies, I would still have to say Fantastic Mr. Fox is probably one of my all-time favorite animated movies because like um like just like with movies like Where the Wild Things Are and The Polar Express, like it always impresses me when a filmmaker takes like a short children's book and is able to expand it into something meaningful. Because I have I have my copy of Fantastic Mr. Fox right here because
Nice.
I went on a Roald Dahl binge a few years ago. Um, and like the book is only like about 80 pages, and that's with illustrations, so it's not like
Yeah.
there's a whole lot of text. But Wes Anderson, he did really expand the story in a meaningful way. I love how despite the abundance of humor in the movie, he really does he really offers some some like really emotional storytelling in the movie when he's dealing with his characters and them trying to figure out who they are as a family, who they each are as like their individual characters. When Shane mentioned before about how it's how in the story Mr. Fox, he's trying to like he wants to go back to his old ways. I love how the movie deals with them trying to like trying to maintain like a sophisticated home life, but also once in a while delving into their old ways because you have those moments, besides Mr. Fox going after the farmer's chickens, you have those moments when like the animals antagonize each other and they're growling at one another. So it's like it's a constant battle between their animal instincts and their more humanistic instincts. And I thought that was just I thought that was like a really clever layer for Wes Anderson to add to the story, and I'll go further into that as we go on. But it's safe to say that I love this movie. It's one of my top favorite Wes Anderson movies.
The cuss you are, Vinny.
The cuss am I.
You cussing with me? That's one of the first moments in the movie where you just realize how ridiculous this movie could be, and you're just like they just start growling at each other. But we'll get to that. Kevin.
Yeah, so this is the second time I've seen this movie. I believe the first time I watched it was with you, Shane, a while ago. I remember going over to your place and watching it for whatever reason. I didn't
We
remember
don't
too
need a
much of it.
reason.
For whatever reason, I didn't remember too much of it. I guess it's just been a while since I've seen it, but I really enjoyed it this second time around. Um, I really enjoyed the character of Rat. That Willem Dafoe performance was delightful. I think he was the standout character in the movie to me, watching it this time. But like Vinny was saying, I like the way they explored the relationship between these animalistic characters, kind of a simple theme, I guess, going for the movie, family and all that, human nature, animal nature in this case. But they played it very well. There were some gorgeous shots, especially in the sewers, I thought.
Mhm.
Um, Beautifully animated. This was a stop motion, yeah.
Yes. They were about this tall,
Okay.
like all the dolls and stuff like that.
Uh,
So,
Very well animated. I liked all the fine detail on the fur. I mean, that just happens in this type of animation, with the figurines being moved around and all that. But it was really interesting to look at. I liked the little quirks all the different characters had. Uh, Mr. Fox with his whistling and all that, and then who was the Badger character trying to come up with his trademark at the end?
No, it was
oh, poor
Kylie. Yeah,
Kylie.
he was a
The
possum.
possum. That was the possum, right? A lot of fun. Yeah, I'll
Absolutely.
get into it a little bit more, but it was really pleasant. Again, I didn't remember too much of it, but it blew me away again.
Jim.
First time watching the movie, and I've never read the book. So, can we still be friends, Shane?
Oh no, I'm excited to hear what we have to say now.
Oh, I haven't
I,
read the book either. Has anyone else?
I
you've
have.
Okay.
Shane's always
Oh,
quoting
right.
Fantastic Mr. Fox, and I probably missed
That's
about
because I
90%.
watched it too many times, and we'll get to that in a minute.
I I agree with what everybody said so far. I thought the animation was really nice to look at. Um, I was partial to the above ground scenes, the pastoral landscapes. I I mean, still have lots of questions about how they animated the movie, how they made the dolls move, and um, there were
Very
layers,
slowly.
obviously, at some point. What's that?
I said very slowly. They
Very, very slowly. Yeah, I thought it was funny and charming and easy to watch. I wouldn't have asked for anything longer, and it makes sense to me that the original book it only makes up about a third of the which third of the
So
movie?
basically, you could summarize the whole entire book in there's Bogus Bunsen Bean. Foxy steals from each of them. They come after him, and then he steals all of their food out from under them, and that's it. That's like
Oh,
the whole
okay.
book.
Nice. Okay.
There's like not really any of like the deep layered family drama, and then that whole entire go for broke rescue mission was completely made up by Wes Anderson.
Okay. Well, he gave the characters a lot of depth and I guess added some characters probably too. Uh
Hmm.
yeah, so the characters I thought were interesting. I did listen to your most recent show on this movie and
Yeah.
I'd like to talk a little bit both about like Vinny said the themes between human nature and animal nature
Hmm.
and then how Mr. Fox is kind of a narcissist. I feel like there's a lot to be explored
Yes.
there too. So yeah, I don't plenty of things to talk about.
Jim got to see the special appearance of my nephew on that episode who was
Yeah.
hanging out with his dad
Oh,
because my
yeah.
brother Ethan was one of the guests on that episode of Welcome to the Wasteland. He was playing Fortnite the whole time.
Is
He
that
was sitting
little
there.
Joey?
It was actually James.
Okay.
The younger one's like attached to my brother's hip because it's like he's his little man. Except in reality, my older nephew Joseph, who's about 8, is just like his father. But not we can talk about that some other time. But in specifically my experiences, I watched this so many times. Now, Kevin will get some of these references to actual human beings. Back in high school, I had a classmate named John Dobbins, And John Dobbins bought this DVD and brought it to school like every day our senior year of high school, just waiting for one of those moments where a teacher's like, we're just going to watch a movie today. I think I watched this whole movie 3 times in school because we kept watching it over and over and over again. So like right off the bat, I watched this a bunch in 2009 to I guess it was the second half of the school year. So it was 2010. So like this was fresh out on DVD.
Wait, like what compelled him to bring it to school every day? Like did he just
He
love it
loved
so
this movie that much. And like if we were gonna have one of those moments where we're gonna watch a movie, he was like, we're gonna watch this. So we watched this in college level chemistry class. We watched this in calculus class. We watched this in my Latin 5 class. Like
Amazing.
like it turned into that. And then I have since I've been keeping track of watching my movies back in 2017, I started keeping track with my spreadsheet. I have watched this movie 5 times since 2018. I actually rewatched this in February for my Wes Anderson series. And my wife's like, we just watched this, didn't we? I'm like, I could watch this again. So could she. So we watched it last night. Um, this movie is so ridiculously charming. It's infinitely quotable, as I will display in a few moments. But like I love the cast. The cast in this movie, I don't think you could have found a more perfect person to play a narcissistic fox who thinks he's like the most self-important fox in the history of foxes, and it's George Clooney. Like
it's
George
smog.
Clooney.
It's not smog, it's smog.
So, he's just like the moment's like I feel poor. It's just like, dude, shut up. And George Clooney's incredible. Meryl Streep is fantastic.
Mhm.
And she's like, I'm gonna lose control for a second. It's like, when? Right now. So and she just like scratches them. And their dynamic. Jason Schwartzman is one of the unsung heroes of this movie because Ash is such a weirdo and such an awkward kid. And Jason Schwartzman he's just different. And I'm glad this is a video on my YouTube channel because I'm gonna be doing a lot of hand gestures talking about this movie. But like he nails that character so perfectly. And yes, Willem Dafoe as the rat's like, your wife was a town taught in her day. And it's just like, is that true? It's like, no, well, those different times then. And it's like the Willem Dafoe is just so committed into that bit of that voice. And then Michael Gambon, Dumbledore himself, as Bean, who's like, Mr. Fox forgot the tail. And just like he just has that voice, and it's like every time he gets on his radio, and just the cast is fantastic. Like Bill Murray as Badger's a fun. Like Owen Wilson's just there as a coach for like one scene, but Owen
Right.
Wilson had to be there. Um,
Adrian
and
Brody as the mouse tailor.
yeah, he has like how many lines, and it's Adrian Brody and uh Wallace Waldarski, who plays Kylie.
Ah, love that character.
He's so good in this, and he's such a wonderful character. And he's like, Kylie, do you have a credit card? And she's like, she can platinum cards. Like, I pay my bills on time. Like all that. And even Eric Chase Anderson, Wes Anderson's brother, is Christopherson. And he's such a nice character for sure. I think the cast and the music really sells it. Like even from like the very beginning where it's like Davy Crockett, and just like all these like old timey songs. And then I love Wes Anderson has a thing for British new wave rock music, like the British Invasion. When Street Fighting Man by the Rolling Stones comes on and they're in the giant like cranes and everything, I'm like, that is so fantastic. And then Let Her Dance, the song at the very end when they're all dancing in the supermarket, is such a cathartic dude. It just like it just has such a lovely beat to it, and they're all just like doing their little dances and everything. And I'm just like, I sat through the credits just to listen to the song because it just there's so much charm to this. And yes, the insane amount of effort to animate this in the way that they did, and the figurines. And one of my favorite fun facts about this is that they acted out the actors every scene. So, and Wes Anderson recorded them. So, like, George Clooney was sitting there with a plate full of food and was like, "Oh," and like, you're just sitting there recording them. And like like they were pretending to be on a motorcycle, and Wes Anderson in his goddamn corduroy suit, was such a goddamn hipster, is just sitting there with like a little microphone next to him recording him, and he's like screaming on the bike, "Where Wolf?" And all of that. It's just look this up and watch some of the videos of them recording the actual audio for this movie. It's fantastic.
So did they
And
mimic the animation after the live footage, I guess? I didn't know
I
they did
guess
that.
it's ridiculous. It's just so much fun because George Clooney obviously is very suave, very like movie star. The best George Clooney is weird George Clooney, and they're mostly Wes Anderson movies. But like when George Clooney's being quirky and weird, he is the best George Clooney. And I feel like watching him sing this all out is channeling that energy.
Is this the only
And
Wes Anderson movie that George Clooney has been in?
yes, he needs to come back. I would like to see him in a Wes Anderson movie again. Because
Actually,
like
actually,
it's
it's actually it's funny that both him and Meryl Streep, like his two leading stars
yeah,
of this movie haven't appeared in any other Wes Anderson movie.
because like he's gotten in like he has Tom Hanks now back to back movies popping in because like he's in the Phoenician Scheme too, and it's just like he's getting like everybody wants to be in a Wes Anderson movie.
Well,
It's
there's
so
definitely room
fantastic.
because there's definitely room for it because his casts always have like 30 people.
It
Oh
looks like
yeah.
his cast is a little bit smaller for the Phoenician Scheme, and I'm wondering if it's because it's like a much bigger like budget in terms of like what they're doing.
Mhm.
So it's like, well, we can't have the payroll budget that high this time. So, but I'm so excited for that movie. But this film is just infinitely charming. It's an hour and 27 minutes. It flies by. And we're going to play a game. And that game is, what are your favorite quotes? And we're just going to get this all out of the way now because
Can I go first?
honestly, my other video kind of turned into my wife, my brother, and I just quoting the movie. Do we have any favorite quotes from anybody here?
So for me, it's the one I remember the best, at least, where he says, "I understand you. Your comments are valuable, but I'm going to ignore your advice."
When he
I might be
and that's when
misquoting it.
Badger's like, "The cuss you are, you
Yeah.
cussing with me?" And they start growling at each other. How about you, Vinny?
Uh, you you know what? Probably mu so like Kylie's my favorite character. So pretty much anything he says is funny. Um, the quotes I'm thinking of, they don't they like out of context they don't sound too funny, but like when you watch them in the movie and you hear how he delivers them, like
Hmm.
that's where you get the laugh. I don't really have anything at the moment that's funny like out of context, but if you watch the movie and anytime Kali is on screen, whether he's saying like 2 words or 10 words, it's funny.
When he's just like, Haileigh, I said in one bite, it's like, I don't have teeth like you. I'm an opossum. And he's just like trying to bite the chicken's
Oh
neck.
yeah.
It's just like,
I
That's
was
a
glad they did that because
that's a
I
good
wasn't
one.
sure what animal he was at first. But
Yes.
the I love
Oh,
every time he like checks out and his eyes go spirally, that made me chuckle a little bit.
Haileigh, you need
And
to
I
make
was
some
looking for
kind of signal for me to know that you're
oh, 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 okay, so so one that I do love, and it's just so cute when he says it. It's when they're trying to like they want to sneak over the fence, but then but then but then he points out like there's a sign saying it. Oh no, he
It's
points out the
electric.
sign and he's like, he's like, oh, what does that mean? And then Mr. Fox says, that means it's an electric fence. And then Kylie's like, oh, okay, I just hope it doesn't mean thunder because I got a phobia of that.
Oh, right.
Just like it'll electrocute you. Like, which also it's such one of my favorite things about this film is the little character details, like the fact that Felicity has a thing for like stormscapes in her paintings, and like she makes this whole elaborate painting of the town for them to do their like go for broke rescue mission, but then there's still like thunderclouds in the background and lightning, and I'm just like, of course, of
It's her
course.
trademark.
It's her trademark. How about you, Jim?
I was looking forward to I thought the word was flustercuss.
Cluster cuss.
Flustercuss was the word. But I kind of like flustercuss. I'd like to work that into my vocabulary.
There you go. There was a long time where I did not curse and I just said cuss instead. And I will still say this is such a cluster cuss because like it's more fun than actually cursing. Because like this was so that seems like such a simple idea, but having them act like actual adults and talk like an adult and just replacing it with the word cuss, that makes this a kids movie. It works
That's
so
a fun way to do
perfectly.
that for a kids movie. Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite running gags is the wolf. What wolf? What do you mean? This is wolf. And then at the end, like the wolf standing there is like, I don't think he speaks English or Latin.
Oh, yeah.
I asked him if he thinks we're gonna have a rough winter. And then he's just like, and then the wolf's like,
What
it's just
That
what
was
like,
funny.
what you know what
That was a
yeah,
good scene.
well, yeah, that scene is funny, but like it's also for me like it was also like a very moving scene
yeah,
because it really does go back to like the whole human nature versus animal nature because like because at the end of the movie like it kind of shows how like you can be you could be more like you can act more human like Mr. Fox and his friends do, but still have those animalistic tendencies underneath. But you can also still live out in the wild like this wolf, but still have an understanding of the human nature the human nature that Mr. Fox and his animals carry, and like so like it's like a really like a it's like a really nice moment that shows yeah like you have like a wild animal and a domesticated animal, but deep down they really are on the same level as each other.
well, and
And
I
it's a
think
good
that's what,
payoff. Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Kevin, because yeah, it is a really good payoff.
Yeah, I was just going to say to the whole wolf phobia thing that he had.
Which, and I think that like such a so many of the characters confront their fears throughout this whole entire thing
Yeah.
because like hit outside of the wolf, his biggest fear is like losing his edge and not being that fantastic fox that he is because like he's a damn great fox and he's a great thief. And it's so funny where just like this man's like, oh, we're going to a book reading. I'm gonna write a review for this. And it's just like, nope, they put on the bandit hats, go out and steal. What's my bandit hat? It's like, what are you wearing that son? And
I liked the interaction with the wolf because it reminded me of like Call of the Wild.
yeah,
Um, but I don't know. I thought he faced his fear very well. If
mhm.
wolves were actually his phobia, so I don't know. I think probably overthinking that theme a little bit because it is. I mean, is it a kids movie? It's a kid's book. Is it a kid's movie? I don't know.
I mean,
It's
it's
appropriate for kids,
well,
I'd say. I don't know
well,
I feel
explicitly.
like adults will
see,
have more fun with this movie than kids will, but
I, I, I mean, like it's definitely. I mean, it technically is a kids movie, but it definitely has like a more sophisticated edge to it that a lot of kids movies like don't have.
I feel like Wes Anderson doesn't understand children, which is why all of the children in his movies act like adults. So like this is exactly the kind of kids movie he would make, which is more appreciated by adults.
Well, well, well,
But
well,
I feel
well,
like that's just on point for him though.
well, and you know what's funny is that like Roald Dahl, like although he writes children's books, a lot of them do have
Dark,
dark edges to them.
dark.
But I feel like out of all the books I've read for him, Fantastic Mr. Fox is probably the least dark.
Yeah.
So it's funny how Wes Anderson, if anything, although the movie is lighthearted, Wes Anderson actually does add like a bit more like not like much not like dark not like a darker edge to it, but definitely like a more adult angle to it.
Well, think about it this way. This whole entire situation of them being a family is because a rogue, wild young man knocks up his girlfriend.
Right.
Like,
And then
it's
he's
just like,
chasing that past.
yeah. And that's the thing. A lot of young men who do wind up getting their significant other pregnant and settling down early do explore and try to go around doing things that they felt like they missed out on in their youth. And that's exactly what Fox is doing. And that's such a mature kind of storyline to throw into a movie about a bunch of foxes. But it's really effective because it's very common for a marriage that was early and involved a child unplanned to have tensions like this because Fox can't get past the things that he wanted to do with his life. And he feels like he's settled. He feels like he's not getting to do the things that he does. And then Felicity's the one who has to like be the bad guy and be the buzzkill because she had to grow up. And she did grow up and she caused his ass out on it. It's just like you need to like get past this. You lied to me. That scene when she breaks down, it's like you lied to me, Foxy. I'm just like, damn. This is
And
why you get Meryl Streep and George Clooney to
well,
be in this movie.
and you know what? Like it's powerful moments like that in this movie that like I didn't catch it the first time I saw it, but definitely on like one of my repeat viewings, the fact like is she always painting is she always painting thunderstorms, or is it just in that one scene when they're like under the tree and he's like, oh,
No, she's
Oh, a couple
always painting
times, yeah.
thunderstorms.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Throughout.
so like there's a scene when they're outside
Yeah.
like under the tree with Ash and Christopherson, and then he looks over and he's like, oh, still painting th thunderstorms, I see. So like to me, like I feel like that's like her way of like expressing her thoughts. Like, yeah, they've settled down, yeah, they have a family, but there are still those storms they have to weather. There are still issues that as a family they have to face because of Mr. Fox not realizing that like his best days are behind him, but and he just refuses to believe that.
Yeah, I
Life
think you
crisis.
touched on his real fears there a bit, Shane, not just wolves.
Yes. Well, that's the thing because like he's legitimately having a midlife crisis.
Right.
And like he ropes Kylie into it. And then Christopherson is a child. And it's just like because like this kid has skills. And like that there's that whole entire tension between him and his own son because he keeps glamorizing his cousin and ignoring him, and Ash is begrudging of that. Like one of my favorite scenes of the whole movie is the laboratory scene at school
I love the
where
bully.
he's just like it's like you're my lab partner. It's like I am your lab partner. It's like you're not. You're disloyal. It's just like, but like he lives in the shadow of Christopherson, and then he bullies Christopherson back. And Christopherson can take care of himself, but he like, why are you taking off your shoes? So I don't break your nose when I kick it. Just like kicks the crap out of that bully. And Christopherson is such an interesting character here because his arrival really starts building up that tension between Fox and Ash because, like, Ash is different. I'm an athlete. Um, and he finally gets his moment with the whole whack back thing. Is like at the very end and lets out the beagle. That is the most vicious beagle I've ever seen in my
Oh, the rabid beagle, yeah.
rabid beagle. Which also that shot of the camera on the back of the beagle's head chasing after him in the yard was fantastic. Great filmmaking. But like there's so much depth to this family dynamic. And like this movie is it's a family in flux and in conflict. It just so happens to be about Fox who steals chickens and alcoholic cider. And it's just such an interesting, unique film. And it's so funny, but it has so much depth to it. And, his whole entire community hates him because, like, I felt so bad for Badger because Badger's trying to do the toast. And it's like, I'm glad that you finally all accepted my invite to come down here. He's like, well, I guess my invite got lost in the mail. And then he goes into, like, Fox does his whole thing and completely railroads his whole entire speech. And just like Fox is a narcissist. He really is. And he has to get humbled. He lost his tail.
Yeah,
Now he has to
narcissism
get
is his animal instinct, isn't it?
yeah.
And,
He has to get it dry cleaned.
and actually, just since we're talking about the dinner scene at the very like at the end of that when they get flooded when they get flooded out into the sewers after the after the cider gets pumped into their dining hall or whatever, like, just speaking of like our favorite quotes from before, I love when like when everyone's like, when Fox is like, is anybody hurt? And then Kylie just pops out looking at the camera and he's like all like he has like a 1,000 yard stare and he's like, apple juice flood.
And actually, yeah, that was one of my favorite moments in the movie, actually. Now that you mention it, Kylie really did have all the best lines.
He did.
Well, and Wallace Wolodarski's like not in a ton of stuff, and he just perfectly nails that character. All of his mannerisms, all of his ticks in his voice, his line delivery, and his comedic timing. Because I'm trying to pull up, because like he has been in a lot of Wes Anderson stuff. Um, but like that's the thing, like he finds people that he obviously has a lot of stars in his movies too. Like there's really famous people in this movie. But like everybody is so pitch perfect in terms of their casting and delivering what they need to do because it's just these characters are so much fun and like there's so many firearms and like explosions and all kinds of stuff. And it's like this is borderline an action movie at one point, especially at the end where they start throwing flaming pine cones and lighting this town on fire. It's just like, and then they're all coming out in their bandit hats and everything. And like, I have never appreciated my 5 years of Latin more than when he starts reading off all their Latin names.
Oh yeah,
I
He's
I
like,
did enjoy that.
a lot of
he's
the
like
comedic payoffs.
yelling
What
at
was
one of
the
them.
he made one up like off the top of his head for that mouse, the mouse tailor, was it? The last one he said
Oh yeah,
was complete nonsense,
Pennsylvanicus or
was it not?
whatever.
Was it what Pennsylvanicus or something
Yeah,
like that?
that's the
Oh,
one.
and then another Kylie moment at the end of that. Kylie comes up to him and he's like, "Hey, what about me?" He's like, "What about me? I didn't get a job or a Latin name."
Yeah,
He's like, honestly, Kylie, I don't think they had opossums in nature. It's like,
the, the comedy payoffs in this were structured so well, I thought.
So
Like the whole
perfect.
Latin thing, and my personal favorite payoff in the movie was the swirly eyes with the possum. After Mr. Fox escapes the rabid dog and
He's just like,
the possum, it's that was a good role reversal there when he catches the swirly eyes.
they're just like little lines, like where it's like, hello, hello, excuse me. It's like that doesn't even sound like him, and it's like an actual recording of him. It's just like, what are you talking about? And it, they're like, Christopherson. They're trying to find him, and like that whole entire sequence with like Mrs. Mrs. Bean, a little scary. Which also, fun fact, that is Helen McCrory from both Harry Potter and Peaky Blinders.
Who is she in Harry Potter?
She
Malfoy's mom.
is Malfoy's mom. Yep.
Okay.
She she,
But
she she
she,
she she was she was only I think she was only in the last two movies.
because like they don't get a whole spotlight on them, but
That's Aunt Polly.
yes,
Harry Potter, yeah.
No, no, and from Peaky
yep,
Blinders.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
yeah, and unfortunately she passed away in 2021.
Oh yeah, I
But
remember that.
so she's not going to be in the Peaky Blinders movie. Um, but
They could AI her in.
Oh
You never
God.
know.
which also, do you all know Garth Jennings, who made the like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Son of Rambo, and the Sing movies? So he is Bean's son. Look at Dad's tie, as he's like all the food on his face, and like Brian Cox is just the random like newscaster who's like reporting on everything. Um, I do have to say, my favorite human character is Petey.
That song should have been nominated for best
Yeah.
original song. I don't
It
know why it
should,
wasn't.
because that's poor songwriting, PT.
Another great line.
I quote that on a regular basis when I hear like a song. I'm like, that was bad. Like, that's bad songwriting,
But
PT.
but you know what? Alexander Desplat's score was nominated, so I'm at least happy about that because that score is just so whimsical, so gorgeous. Like it's probably one of my favorite Wes Anderson scores.
Not
Oh,
only is
yeah.
it whimsical at times, but it has spaghetti western
Right.
vibes
Oh
at
yeah,
other
yeah.
times. I'm just like Alexandre Desplat should literally score every single Wes Anderson movie for the rest of his career, because I don't think anybody's up for the championship at this
Actually, I
point.
think
'Cause, like,
I think he won for the Grand Budapest Hotel.
oh, he did. I love that score. That Mr. Mustafa, um, he's like gives me chills and makes me emotional just listening to it. And like all of his work in Isle of Dogs with the drums
Hmm.
and channeling all the like, because let's be real, Isle of Dogs is not accurate to Japan. It's just what Wes Anderson thinks Japan would be, um,
You know, yeah,
which is way more hipstery than Japan actually is.
and you know what? Although I liked, like in terms of his animated movies, although I liked Isle of Dogs, it definitely wasn't as good as Fantastic Mr. Fox.
So I have up until Phoenician Scheme, because it's not out yet, and I haven't seen it early yet, which I hope I do in the next couple weeks. But out of all of my Wes Anderson rankings, this is like my number three movie, because like it's absolutely incredible, and this legitimately is one of my top 100 favorite movies. Like, unabashedly, this movie is so funny, but it has so much depth that you would never expect out of a movie like this. And like, you could take this out of all the absurdity of like Fox's dig. Oh, we didn't even mention digging. Those sequences are so funny.
Those are
Dig!
those are very well animated sequences. Yeah.
It's like, I would have asked you if
Like
I
Looney
would have asked you
Tunes.
to come if you wanted to come, but like, just look at Christopherson. You dig. He's like, wow. But like, there's just so much about this movie that like literally everything about this movie works. there's certain films that I sit and watch. I'm just like, I do not understand how somebody conceived this, but I'm glad that they did because this is perfection. Like, I don't know how Wes Anderson came up with all of this, but like, it's gold.
Can I point out another good uh line?
Yeah.
The scene when Mrs. Fox is trying to sew Mr. Fox's tail back on, and he says that tails don't grow back, and then Ash is like, tails don't grow back, and then Kylie's like, no, except lizards.
Oh yeah.
Lizards. One of my favorite Kylie lines is when Foxy and Felicity are going back and forth. He's like, you say one thing and she says another, they're
Yeah.
just going in circles. Because, like, to your point, Vinny, his delivery is like there's so much anxiety and like manic energy behind it, and he's so nervous about everything. Just any line just sounds so funny with him saying it, and it's just like there's so many wonderful things about this, and like there's some scary moments. That confrontation between the rat and Fox in the sewer, and like that shot's amazing when the electricity strikes and you just see the
Hmm.
silhouettes.
Yep.
And I'm just like, this is incredible. And that whole entire's like, tastes like liquid gold. And then like it replaces times. And he's just like, and he's just, and he'll just be another rat dead behind a dumpster behind a Chinese food
Yes.
restaurant.
Oh yeah.
What?
That actually had me howling when I was watching that. I like that you mentioned the Western themes, Shane, because I was
Yeah.
catching on to that while I was watching this. Um, and in that sewer scene, I was actually having some difficulty placing some of the voice actors in this movie.
Mm.
And when that sewer scene came on, I didn't realize it was Willem Dafoe yet, and I was thinking this kind of sounds like Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday, um, the rat.
He definitely was having that, like, I'll be your Huckleberry. It's just like that kind of vibe. He like pulls out the switchblade. He's like, and just
And
why is the
actually,
rat
Will,
so big? Like
well,
this
That
rat's
was
enormous.
my
Oh
first
yeah, that
question.
was a
Was
huge rat.
huge. Yeah.
Oh, that
and,
fight had
and,
one of my favorite cartoon tropes, also with the electrified skeletons.
and you know what's funny is how, I mean, what's funny is how Willem Dafoe, his roles in this and Grand Budapest, they're pretty similar.
Yeah, he is henchman, and he is terror. Jopling is terrifying in Grand Budapest. Just like, and just like he doesn't have to say like anything. He probably has like five lines in the whole movie, but like so creepy. And like I just watched The Legend of Ochi yesterday, which was so much fun. Love that he's in it. Willem Dafoe just loses himself in everything,
Mhm.
and whether he's a German, like Klaus in Life Aquatic,
Or
Or Nosferatu.
or an insane lighthouse keeper.
why'd you spill your beans, Tommy? Why'd you spill your beans?
I
Oh
really
my
like
god,
him in The English Patient. Have you guys seen The English Patient?
I have
I
not.
haven't watched that in
He's
years.
spooky. He's spooky in that movie.
I forgot he was in it. I,
He wa-
you
he
know
wa-
what?
he,
I had a
Is Ray
really
Fiennes in
bad
that one?
I had a yeah,
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
a really bad experience trying to watch that movie because I had really bad Wi-Fi and it kept buffering the whole time. And that movie was long enough that I
It's
didn't
already like
need it
3 hours long. Yeah.
to not
so
need it
so
to be buffering the whole time
so it
too.
it wasn't because you were watching it in a theater and Elaine Bennis kept saying how boring it was.
I was going to say I only remember hearing a joke about that on Seinfeld, but I
I
haven't seen the movie.
I
I
don't
couldn't
know
remember
what's
what
a
the line
better
was.
gag from the Seinfeld, that or making out during Schindler's List.
Oh my God.
Oh,
That was messed up. Which I may or may not be watching tonight because I have to rewatch it for because my buddy Mike chose it for my Wasteland retrospective. I'm like, well, gotta rewatch Schindler's List. I told myself after I watched it for my Spielberg series. I'm like, it's gonna be a long time before I rewatch this movie.
You've
Oh
been
man,
summoned again.
so it
How
has
many
been
how many
summoned.
Fox weeks though? How many
Oh yeah.
Fox weeks between your viewings?
That has
Well,
to
Fox
be at
time is 6 times faster
least
than human time, so
Divided by 9.
it's like that's 18 hours in Fox weeks of Schindler's List that I'll be watching. But I guess, does anybody have anything else they wanted to throw out about Fantastic Mr. Fox before we can just keep laughing and bring up more quotes?
yeah, I just wanted to touch back real fast on the point you were making about Mr. Fox and his wife. I do
Yeah.
think they were basically the central conflict of the movie, and they had a lot of good moments. I particularly liked the way they handled the scene. I think they were in the sewers when they were having this little discussion. Uh, I think it's after she slaps him and they start to make up a little bit and they're having a little discussion and she goes like, I really love you, but I shouldn't have ever married you. And I was just
That got
thinking
real.
like some good life lessons for kids to hear, actually, surprisingly, the way they handled that relationship in the movie.
And you know what? That heart to heart they have, I like how it's sort of how like in the background you have the water falling, so it almost resembles a rainstorm, and like going back
Yeah.
to like the whole
Yeah.
thunderstorm motif of the movie. And there's just so many like I know someone mentioned before about like how there's so many tiny details in this movie that you can catch on repeat viewings, and it's just such a rich movie in that regard.
I wanted to rewatch it for that scene alone because I had the same thought, but yeah, that was a good shot. That was one of my favorite
That
shots
was
in the
that was
movie.
a real comment. And that's the thing, is like we find people in our lives that we love, but know that we're probably not the best fit with that person. And like, why did they get together in the first place? Was because he got her pregnant. And it's just like, you're glowing. And she's an actual like nightlight. And then they're both like, I
Yeah.
think we're both glowing at the end of both nightlights.
I didn't think about this before, but the way does she tell him before or after the cage drops? The cage that was not spring loaded.
Oh, the one in the
After,
beginning.
yeah,
So
after they're
that's
caught,
kind of a
she,
visual of how he feels trapped now because
yep.
she's
Right.
gonna have his
Yeah.
baby. Yeah, that's good.
Well, because that's the thing. It's just like she mentions, like, I'm pregnant. He's like, that's great news. Like, I'm just like, is it?
Yeah,
Is it?
and you know what? That's another thing. This movie has a lot of great reaction shots.
Yes. Well, and that's some great puppet acting that the animators were doing. It's like there's so many great facial expressions, like
Mhm.
you mentioned, like Vinny, and like just the reactions to everything. But no, it was after the cage fell. Then she's like, I'm pregnant. And then it cuts away. We don't know how they got away. And it's just like, you remember that day? We do. And that's when it like they dug out of it. Because that's what foxes do. They dig.
Oh,
Uh
somewhat unrelated, but in that opening scene, since we're on it, uh, I was thrown off guard for a second because the farm that they're raiding in the beginning of the movie, they show an address of 27B, and I live in apartment 27B. That's where I live. So
there you go.
Do
I was like,
you
oh, they're
raise
at they're at
do
my
you raise
place.
squabs there, Kevin?
I'll have to look.
Also, a fun running joke. What's a squab?
What the cuss is a squab?
Yeah. But yeah, I think one of the biggest points, Kevin, you got to bring up is the payoffs and going back to things. They pay off everything from start
They
to
really
finish.
do.
They it's George Lucas, ripples, it's rhythms, it's poetry. And it's basically this whole entire movie. It's just like everything ripples again and it comes back at the end. And this is one of those moments where it's just like, hey, Wes, we want you to make a kids movie based off a Roald Dahl book. You don't need to go that hard. And it's that meme of the flaming piano on the beach. It's just like this was Wes Anderson making this. Just like nobody else would have made like if somebody tried to remake Fantastic Mr. Fox today, it would wind up like all these damn Smurf movies.
Hmm.
It'd be like CGI animals in real life, and they'd be making like they'd
Pop
cast
cult,
Rihanna in
pop cu-
something
and pop culture references.
and pop culture references. I'm going to go on the record, and the only franchise that has been able to keep fresh and continue to keep making pop culture references that are clever enough to keep doing them is Shrek.
Yep.
Shrek is the only one where you can make a O.J. Simpson reference during a parody of Cops Called Knights, where it's like we're chasing a white Bronco through the forest,
Oh, right.
and I'm like, what?
That's right. It's been a
Yes.
minute since I've seen the Shrek movies.
Oh my god. See, I only nominate because like it's so funny is I did not nominate Fantastic Mr. Fox for the record. Just like yeah, this Jim. I only nominate things off my watch list that I haven't watched before. But like I might have to break that next year and just put Shrek 2 on there because like if you thought I quoted Fantastic Mr. Fox a lot, just you wait. I'm Robert Neville from that Will Smith I Am Legend movie. I can quote Shrek start to finish. And don't
Maybe
tempt
you
me,
should
I
just
will.
maybe you should start a new series called Shane's Vocabulary, and then
I swear, I have to stop myself. I'm like, I have a movie reference to reply any statement I feel like any human being can possibly make to me. And I'm just like, how much of my brain is being filled up with this? But it makes life more interesting. So there you go. But that was a lively, fun, and also interesting and deep conversation about Fantastic Mr. Fox, which all of those things describe Fantastic Mr. Fox. And if you haven't seen it, you should. We definitely all recommend it. But most importantly, from Vinny, from Kevin, from Jim, and from Shane, thank all of you out there for always tuning in and supporting the Development Hell podcast.